Now that we have those three common elements out of the way, let's talk about a balanced riding position. When we're riding around, the majority of the time we are seated and pedaling. As we are going to start talking about doing some more challenging skills and maneuvers, let's imagine we're going to be standing up. When we're standing up over the bike, we're going to be using two postures frequently. The first is called the neutral position, and that's used for cruising easy terrain. It may be an open area where we can see really well, that there's no challenges, or it's a trail that just happens to be a little bit easier at that moment and we can be relaxed. When we're in that neutral position, we're tall and relaxed, slight bend in our elbows and our knees, and we have heavy feet and light hands. Additionally, we have what's called the ready position, and that's for when we're getting ready for a challenge out on the trail. Maybe we're having to use our brakes, we're getting into a descent with some challenge, maybe we're cornering. In that case, we want to get lower in a more crouched or athletic position. Our knees and elbows are bent, my elbows are out for stability, and then again, I have heavy feet and light hands. I'm going to provide a moving demonstration to give you an idea what that looks like before we all practice together. Very good. All right, we're all looking nice and balanced. Great. Let's all remember to keep our fingers on our brakes. Excellent. Very good, Ken. Great. Hey coaches, notice how quick and easy we went through the neutral and ready positions in order to get the riders on their bikes quickly? That's intentional. Tell them what they need to know, and then we'll get them on their bikes practicing where we can provide more feedback or a deeper understanding for those that are interested. For us now, let's talk just a little bit more about the why. When we're thinking about the neutral position, something that's often overlooked is that the neutral position is often used for a period of rest between challenges. We may be going down a difficult section of trail, but not the entire trail has difficulties. And in between challenges, we can get back into that neutral position, regroup in our mind a little bit, and take some of the tension out of our muscles as we continue riding forward before then getting back into that ready position as the next challenge approaches. So we have our neutral and ready positions working back and forth, neutral, then ready, and neutral again when we're in between challenges. Additionally, I want us to understand how critical the ready position is to so many skills and maneuvers we do on the bike. Oftentimes we see riders that are simply too tall with locked arms and legs getting pushed around by the terrain or the bike. And if they were simply in a lower, more crouched athletic stance, they'd be better ready for what they're going to be doing next on the trail. So this ready position is often ground zero for all of the skills that we're going to be doing from this point on. Let's talk briefly about a couple of progressions we may use while we're having the student athletes practicing and providing them feedback. I often point out to riders that they should be bouncing up and down on their pedals while they're riding in this ready position. It's something that they can do out on the trail that helps to really ground them in their feet so that they're not heavy in their hands. So oftentimes as I'm approaching a challenge or I'm just getting started, pushing off, getting ready to do something on the bike, I will stand up and get in that ready position and just bounce a couple of times to feel really centered in the middle of the bike. And now I feel ready for what that challenge is. Hey coaches, let's go over a few common errors that we see and the appropriate corrections for each. One is that we often see riders dropping their elbows down. And in that case, they look really aerodynamic, but that doesn't really apply on a mountain bike. So they should have their elbows out in order to feel really nice and wide and stable on their bike. Exactly where those elbows should be is up to them, and there's a little bit of personal preference involved. We should not see their elbows drooping down like this, and we don't need to see them out like that. But anywhere in the middle is a great middle ground that we'd like to point out to riders. Additionally, we see sometimes riders struggling to find the middle of the bike and keep their weight in their feet. Sometimes they're a little bit too far forward or collapsing towards the handlebars. And then in other cases, they're too far back, riding in what we call the back seat. So again, if we return to that middle position and kind of bounce on our feet a little bit, that helps us to really feel centered over the bike, and that usually corrects that problem for us.